And introductions.
Okay, well, welcome, and it's been a while for me, so I'm sure for and it's so good to have Joe back. I mean, he just is the we got a recording in progress. Oh, got it. There we go. And I'm a little bit on call right here because my wife broke her leg, and it's been she needs transferring. She's in her chair right now, but she wants to transfer to a chair in a few minutes, and and so I have to hold that leg while she does. So, and it's been, I think, 11 weeks now. It's trying to get it healed naturally, and because she didn't put weight on it, but it's been an ordeal. So anyway, as someone said, this too shall pass. So that's you just have to go into those things with that. But anyway, otherwise everything's fine and healthy, and looking forward to getting back involved in things. So let's. I'm Tom McIntyre. I was the co-chair, and then my co left, so I'm chair of the coalition, and it's great to have you here. So let's just go around, and Joe, I don't see everybody, so if you could call the names. And
Oh, sure. Everybody would go ahead and raise their hands. Then I will call on, oh, sorry, your digital hands. Oops, hold on a minute. If you would go down below to reactions, click that smiley face icon, and at the bottom of the screen that opens, click raise hand. Okay, and Tom, you don't have to.
okay,
there we go. So Chuck Whitfield, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chuck. I'm a member, school board director for the school district, and I have a licensing business here in Monroe. And I was looking forward to this meeting, and past times where I wasn't able to, it was like, shoot, I missed it. And I always enjoy, I'll tell you a story. So I have two screens. I have a webcam, I have a headset, and a Bluetooth speaker. I had a board meeting where I have to identify which audio. And it was, my other board members were just laughing at me because I had this, and then I had my phone, and then I dropped my phone, and anyway, it's easy with a laptop, and it's easy with a set PC that has sound and has the built-in monitor. But I'm all checked in. I can hear, I can talk, I can see, so life's good.
welcome.
We're here to lift you up, Chuck. Aubrey, welcome.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Rudd. I am the communications director for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Snohomish State. And we also have Just Serve, which is a website where we try to find people who are looking for volunteer opportunities. We try to match volunteer opportunities so people are getting connected in the community and volunteering. And I'm a parent, and I'm an emergency substitute now, so I'll be in the schools.
Nice.
Chris Gray, so nice to see you.
Thank you very much, Joe. It's so good to see everybody else. I'm Chris Gray. I'm on the board for a couple more months of Housing Hope. I'm going to be term limited off, but I still will remain a part of the East County board. Yeah, I've been on Housing Hope's board now for 9 years. So anyway, just always glad to sit in with everybody and find out what's going on and the support that kids are getting that need it in the city. So
I want to know how you got term limited off, because I've been on that board longer than you have.
East County board, it's the main Housing Hope board that
Oh,
they
okay,
have
all
term
right.
limits.
Oh, gotcha.
Don't ask me why, because we can never fill all the positions, so it's
Yeah,
kind of weird.
okay. I thought maybe they were cheating on me. Sorry about that.
Jim Bloss, so good to see you.
Thank you, Joe. Nice to see you too. let me see. Let me take my hand down. You see,
I took
well,
care of it for you.
I'll forget that. Oh, thank you. Uh, uh,
I got you. Oh,
oh,
here,
well,
you
we-
talk, I'll take care of you.
okay. Thank you very much. Well, one thing, Aubrey, I just want to let you know that I have a steady stream of LDS young guys coming to my door probably every other day because we're friendly and we like talking with those guys no matter where they're from. And Tom, I used to work for Catholic Community Services, as you well know, in their long-term care business, and I can do transfers like nobody's business. So you just call on me anytime.
Okay.
But
Well,
I'm
I'm getting
here.
trained myself, so.
Oh yeah, well, it's you got to be careful, hurt yourself. And I joined this group as a representative for NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, and I'm going to have to leave fairly quickly here. But I wanted to say that we are doing a lot of tabling, at events, and we were at Sky River Park recently, of course. Saw Chuck there, amongst other people. And we're going to be at the AFSP walk Saturday morning at 9 o'clock over at Boxcar Park in Everett. That's for the suicide prevention event that they hold, I guess, yearly. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, taking advantage of the nice weather, and we'll be wearing masks and trying to get as much oxygen as we can, given the haze and the smoke and stuff that's happening. So that's it for us.
Thanks, Jim. Sheridan, welcome back.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Sheridan. I am the Child and Family Specialist, which is a mouthful, at Housing Hope. And I just transitioned into this position. So I'll be in the East County. So I'll be doing Monroe and Sultan. And Mary, if you know Mary Beth, I'm replacing Mary Beth. She's still with Housing Hope, but she is down a supervisor role. So she's my supervisor. I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
And Lisa, so good to see you back.
Hello, I'm Lisa Woodard. I'm one of the counselors at Monroe High School. So it's nice to see everybody. And hopefully we're all taking advantage of the nice weather. With a little less smoke would be nice as well.
And then our special guest is Amber. Amber, I'm going to go over the agenda, but would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Amber. This is my first get together with everyone, but I'm with the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. I'm currently out of the Sky Valley office here in Monroe. And I am excited to be here and just start building those connections so that we all can work together to support the families in our community.
Wonderful. And Pastor Michael, welcome. You get to introduce yourself. Well, if you are introducing yourself, Pastor Michael, you're still muted.
Thank you. I had to acknowledge that it's being recorded before that would let me unmute.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm Pastor Michael Hanford and police and fire chaplain for over 25 years and coordinator for Monroe Pastors Fellowship in Monroe, and part of the leadership team of the coalition. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. And Maddie, you're last, but definitely not least.
I'm so sorry I had to hop off there for a moment. It's just a day in the life of Monroe High School. My name is Maddie Lauder. I'm the student assistance professional at Monroe High School. So I am doing prevention and intervention work here, and it's been a great start to the year so far.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. I just want you to see the agenda. It is somewhere here. Okay, can you see the Monroe Community Coalition? Great. So let me just move us ahead. So this is a Monroe Community Coalition meeting. We're a community collaboration working to implement alcohol and other drug prevention with a community-based approach. And since 2013, we've raised almost $3 million that we put toward local behavioral health support of youth in both dollars and resources. So pretty proud about what we've accomplished and what we continue to accomplish. Tom, thanks for leading us through the welcome and introductions. Next up will be our community spotlight. That's Amber, who introduced herself from Family Voluntary Services at DCYF. I'm going to do a really quick business update, and then we just want to hear out from you. So these are my favorite meetings where we get to hear about what's happening in your world, what you're seeing in terms of youth substance abuse and mental health challenges or successes, and then really what challenges, successes, or opportunities you're seeing overall. So I'm going to take a step back here and hand this to Amber. Amber, thanks so much for joining us. Pastor Michael raved all about you, and as soon as he heard from you, he reached out to me. Pastor Michael, did you want to say anything about Amber before she starts?
Oh, I just appreciate so much the new creative programs and the opportunities that this will bring to the much needed families and teens and children and parents. Thank you, Amber, for all that you're doing, and our prayers are with you in what you're doing.
Thank you. So I am a bit of a talker. I had to get cut off last time. So if you have questions or if there's anything like that, just let me know and I can answer them. But I'm hoping to mostly just focus on our Family Voluntary Service Program, letting you guys know a little bit about what that looks like, how families can get involved with that, and the services that we can put into place and supports we do through the Family Voluntary Service Program. I have been working for the department since I think May 2018, so 4.5 years about, and I have worked as a child protective service investigator as well as in our Family Voluntary Service Program as well, just not in this office. So I'm pretty knowledgeable and aware of how these programs can support families. And so I'm hoping to just provide a little bit of education around that today. So Family Voluntary Services is a program that is free and offered by the department for families who are struggling with, it could be substance use, it could be mental health, it could be just parenting, coping skills, anything like that. And the way that a family becomes involved with Family Voluntary Services is either they can call in directly to the department. So they just call our central intake line, which is the same number that people would call to report child abuse or neglect. And they just say, hey, I am requesting Family Voluntary Services. And then an intake would be generated and it would go to our Family Voluntary Service worker. Our current Family Voluntary Service worker out of Monroe is named Crystal Davis, and then I am assisting as needed here out of the Sky Valley office. But FVS is offered across the state. So whatever office is closest to that family or most accessible for that family, it is offered there. So Family Voluntary Services, you can call in, request those services. And then also if a call comes in with concerns of child abuse or neglect, we are able to have a meeting with the family, offer the services, and transition that case into Family Voluntary Services. And the goal of that is to prevent removal. So then we're working with families, we're mitigating risks, we are trying to get community supports in place so that the family does not have to become more involved with the department than they already may be if an intake had been generated initially. Any questions about how to get into Family Voluntary Services?
Yeah, if nobody raises their hand, I do. So do you have to be previously involved with the agency in order to qualify?
Nope.
What families are not eligible?
Any family is eligible. So literally anyone who wants to call in and says, I need services, and I'll go into what that looks like. It is an invasive-ish process because you do get assigned a social worker. They do have to do home visits. They do check in with the kids and with you. And so they have to be ready for that part of the aspect of things too. But any family can call in for family voluntary services. It just has to be in specific to trying to prevent child abuse or neglect or getting support in regards to children. So they have to have kids in their care.
Jim, I see your hand up.
Received a query from a friend who has a woman with 2 teenage boys and who's having a difficult time. Now, he wasn't specific as to what this was about, and I doubt very much it's at the level of having your children taken away because of any sort of issues, or there might not even be health issues. It's hard to say. My writing back to him indicated that it's really hard to tell with teenage boys just exactly whether any problems going on or not, because they're problems just in themselves. So if I sicked her on you, would you get a favorable hearing at least? She may just need some advice as a probably a single mom, trying to deal with 2 boys, and she's trying to do right by them and everything. It's more like, I think it's probably more like a chat like that. I don't think she's thinking of throwing them out on the street or anything.
Of course. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I can put my information in the chat after, so then you guys have my contact information. I will say email's the best way to get me because I never know what the day is going to look like. And so I typically can respond to an email, but if she wants to give me a call, I'm definitely a resource that she can reach out to as well. And we have another program that could be a better fit for her too. That is also what families can just call in and request.
I think that's probably more like along the lines of what she needs. Yeah, I will have to leave early, so if you can get your information in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll pop it in there soon. So once a family calls in for family voluntary services,
We have one more question.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Sheridan.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. So who is, like, when you think about who your ideal client, or not ideal, I know is not the right word, but who's the typical client that's actually going to call in for services? I just think that might be intimidating for a family to call CPS on their own, or DCYF. You know what I mean? Like, I think they would be, if I think of the clients I have, I think they would be a little like, dude, I don't want to draw any attention to anything that's going on in my house. So I'm wondering how you guys deal with that, and maybe who the right client might be for you guys.
Yeah. So anyone can call in and just ask for community resources too. And so if they just want information first, because I've had people call in who have been intimidated, because we are CPS and it does have a bad reputation at times, but we're really trying to shift to that site to, we want to be supportive and encouraging and preventative. And so I have had clients call and they're like, hi, what can you do? Or what does this look like? Can I have a few days to think about it once they get that information? But our typical way that families are moving into our family voluntary services, which is why I was happy to provide this information too, is because they've already received an intake with concerns of child abuse or neglect. And there are high amount of risks, or we are able to meet and engage with the family and say, hey, we have these services, which I can go through in just a second, that might help mitigate some of those issues and support you and get you connected in a way that is like wraparound and supportive. So then you have someone checking in and holding you accountable to the things that you want to do as well. And so that is the typical practice right now, is most FVS cases are coming through because they've already had an intake open with us with concerns.
And one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I guess my question is, and
is, and it's kind of similar. So if someone contacts you, does this go on some kind of record? Like, let's say, you know, family is divorcing. Is it like an admission of neglect? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, now there's a report filed. I just kind of want to know what that looks like, because I think that puts families off, right? Of like, oh, they have services for me and I really could use their help, but is this going to reflect negatively on me in the system, I guess?
So I will say we're mandated reporters. So any abuse reported to us or neglect reported to us, it could generate an intake if it meets our RCW WAC thresholds. But from my experience with family voluntary services, it will generate an intake if they call in, which goes into our system, which just says that they had reached out to the department, but it will be labeled as like non-CPS. So the intakes all have different types of, like we have investigations, we have family assessment response, all these different types of intakes that can come to us, but it would be a non-CPS and then labeled with family voluntary services. So it would show that the family had called in requesting services, not because we were investigating them. But I'm hoping that there's a new law coming through that is basically family first. So we're doing more preventative rather than reactive movements to keep kids with their family, going above and beyond to get them connected so that we don't have to become involved past just helping and providing services to support to the family. And so it would just reflect that way in our system, but it would be in our system.
Okay, you're free to keep going.
Okay. And so once a family calls in for family voluntary services, they get assigned a worker. The worker should be reaching out to them within 24 to 48 hours, depending if it's like during the week. If it's over the weekend, then it's going to be that Monday. But they get contacted pretty fast, and then a worker will schedule a visit with that family where they will discuss family voluntary services, run through whatever the request was. So when an intake's generated, they say, hey, I'm really struggling with my kids' escalations, and I just don't know how to make them stop having these escalations and these behaviors. And so I feel like at times I have to get a little more physical than I want to be with them. And so we are like, okay, so that sounds like it would be a good fit for this program. And I'll run through all of the in-home programs we have through family voluntary services, but we'll talk about what they need help with, what support they're looking for. If the case had come in because someone called in allegations of abuse or neglect and we have reason to have high concerns for those, then we're like, hey, this came in because of this, and we want to help mitigate these risk factors associated with this. So it could be substance use, it could be mental health, it could be just like they resort straight to severe physical discipline, like whatever it is that we see they need help with, we collaborate with the family to see how we can support them. The worker, depending on the age of the kid, would either come out to your home required by our policy either twice a month or once a month. 5 and under, a worker has to come twice a month at least. And then older than 5, it's once a month. And so like they do a visit, they check in, and then once we kind of figured out, okay, this is where this family's struggling, or this is the supports that they need, let's talk about these in-home services that we can provide to you completely free to the family. We also can provide the family with like financial support if they need, getting them connected to community resources if needed, just kind of whatever that family needs. And we have, let me count, I have a paper in front of me. 7 different programs that do in-home services for families, and all of them have different specific things that they're going to work on, that they're going to focus on, and how they're going to support that family. And so we have something called positive parenting, which is for short, we call it triple P, and that is for behavior specific issues. So the kiddo is having outbursts, crazy behavior. It gives the families like a module to follow of like, hey, we recognize that your kiddo is arguing about getting up. So let's figure out how to fix that behavior. Let's figure out how to redirect the behavior in a way that makes it so that you're not having to use physical discipline, so that it's not getting to the point where it's severe and you have to get a CPS call or an intake. And that one is available from like 2 to 16. We have a teenager one too. And so they would be able to help provide those skills and education on how to manage behavior and redirect that behavior, and hopefully help bring a little more calmness to your home. We have 2 to 3 programs that are specific for like littler kiddos. So it's typically like birth to 5, birth to 7. And that is Project Safe Care, which I refer to as like baby 101. So it's for up to 5, but it basically is teaching safety measures, how to keep your house safe, how to know like when to call the doctor, how to know what to look for if your baby is sick or if your child is not feeling well. And then we typically use this program as well for our families struggling with substance use, because they go through like relapse prevention planning and a plan of safe childcare for the baby if you are going to use, and just those more preventative measures so that the baby is not being impacted or the child's. And then we have Promoting First Relationships, which is more focused on bonding, building the relationship with typically a newborn or a very young child that you may feel disconnected with. And they help, they like observe interactions and kind of give you suggestions on how to help build the bond or the attachment with your child. And then for a little bit of the older ones, we have Incredible Years, which is like parent education. Hey, I'm really struggling with this, or I'm noticing this. How can I get the skills needed to make sure that this isn't going to continue or prolong any negative behavior? And then since Promoting First Relationships, it's more for babies, we have one for older kids, which is similar to the bonding and attachment, called Parent-Child Interaction Therapy. And so it teaches, like if parents are struggling to know how to play or engage with their kiddo, then they help teach that and provide new skills. For the older kids, the one that usually is the most effective that we try and implement is called Family Functional Therapy. And that is literally for like 11 to 17. And that would be what would support, I think it was Jim who said that mom may have been struggling with some of those kids. It brings someone into your home and you just kind of have like therapy sessions with each other, and you talk about, hey, mom, dad, I don't like when you do this, or when you do this, I feel this way. And then mom's like, well, I understand you feel that way, but these are still the expectations, and how to navigate those conversations so that you're not having such an explosive and reactive response from your older child. And then our last one that we use is called Home Builders. That is a very intensive in-home service, and typically only offered to those families that we have very high concerns regarding, because they go like 3 times a week to the home. They are crisis management. They are addressing all of the immediate safety issues we may have. And so that wouldn't be a typical program that we would provide to a family just calling in for services and support. And then we have Family Preservation Services, which is the most fluid of all the programs we offer. A person comes to your home once a week, and you just really set your goals and what you want to work on, and they help connect you to resources. They help connect you to the community members that know how to support you in that space. And then they also can provide like household management skills, parenting skills. It's just much more fluid rather than the other programs having much more of a structure. Those are all of the programs we offer through Family Voluntary Services. I know it's a lot. And if you guys want any like just copies of what the programs are and what they provide, I can email those out too. I just didn't have time to download them all to provide them prior to this. I'm sorry.
No, let's do that. I'll get these out and a clip of what we've just talked about on the mailing list.
Perfect. And so, yeah, and Family Voluntary Services, it just kind of carries you through those service providers. They typically are about like 2 to 3 months long, with weekly visits, unless the family needs more or a more like compact. Some of them will go twice a week if the family wants a shorter amount of time working with the department. But you do get a social worker. A social worker is checking in with you, checking in with your providers, seeing how the services are supporting and encouraging families, which is super good, but it's also invasive for some families to feel like someone's coming in their home and checking on them, because that is also the purpose of family voluntary services, is to make sure that what we're providing is mitigating the risks and safety concerns for the children involved.
This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. And I made a note to myself to also follow up with you to see where the coalition may be able to fill some gaps, or at
That'd be
least
great.
expand programs, because we offer evidence-based parenting programs and another of other strategies in the community. So want to follow up just about overlap and gaps and see how we can support each other.
Yeah, and families are much more comfortable with community too. And so if we're able to, if they call in and say, I don't know about having a social worker for 6 months of my life or 2 months, and it would be really great to be able to partner and say, well, I know that there's this group that we can connect you with who can provide something similar to support you that doesn't feel so invasive.
Pastor Michael, I see you.
Yes, in the light of the long waiting list to see mental health professionals and counselors and various, CMAR or whatever, I felt this was just a perfect fit to actually get in-home social worker. It's just part of what, we can work together, collaborate and network in this thing. And I know, Joe, you could tell Amber about the many programs we have on parenting wisely and various programs that she could be aware of as well. And it just is a perfect fit. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to share. I really want to make more people aware, because I know that most of the time our first interaction is like, hi, you're being investigated or you're being assessed, because we have these allegations of abuse or neglect, which is part of the job. And we do have to keep kids safe and we have that responsibility. But if we can be preventative and have people be aware of how to get involved with the department without having to be involved with the department, it's always the goal, because we want kids with their family if it's safe to do so every time.
Any last comments or questions for Amber? Okay. I am going to move us into our, Chris Gray.
I just want to comment that this is so long overdue. I know when I was working in the school district, and if we had any concerns and had to call CPS, we knew we'd never see the kid again. And so to have this kind of intermediary step, so that parents are being supported and kids are being supported in the home, is way overdue. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Well, okay. I'm going to move us into our partner update segment. And I know Jim has to go, but he's still on with us. Mr. Bloss, do you want to tell us about what NAMI's up to and what you're up to?
Well, it's very kind of you. I just was putting something in the chat saying goodbye.
Oh, so sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, after COVID and all of that, and we had a lot of our programs for families and children and folks living with mental illness and needing help and assistance, that we are now doing a lot more in face to face and in person. But there's still some hybrid programs and things. So I think the thing to do is either if you're interested or you need help or you know folks who need help, this www.snohomishcounty.org, I'm sorry, all spelled out, unfortunately, or www.namiwa, .org, and that's the Washington State, or www.NAMI.org. It's a national organization, and there's just lots of material there for your consumption and people referral and what have you. And I put my contact information in the chat also. So if anybody wants to call up and chat and or whatever, that's what we do. We're here for you. So thank you. You all have a wonderful day.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Director
Bye-bye.
Whitfield,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Director Whitfield, I want to take advantage of your time here. What are you up to, and what's the school board up to? We're all ears.
What's the school board up to? Well, we do a little this, little that. We've had some good presentations. We keep updated on the status of the school and taking care of grounds. I reflected at the last board meeting. I went to the football game with the grandkids, and looking at, I've been thinking a lot about community and what makes up a community, and looking at the coaches, the assistant coaches, the helpers, the people volunteering with vendors, the teachers out, the band leaders. It's just encouraging to see a community come together for an event like that. And I know that's the case with other sports and other activities. I know with drama. And recently it's getting kind of burned out on things at the board, and you kind of get into this it's just the boring stuff and voting on things, and that helped renewed my spirit. So that's what's been on my mind. The other thing is just heard some information about the influx of drugs, or the problem with drugs among youngsters and the availability. And what I'm really, so it's kind of a general observation, or some things I've just learned from a connection with the police. But the thing that I'm just really frightful of is that fentanyl. It's just touching, and we could have something happen just immediately, and it's so pervasive and it's so easy to manufacture. So that is it's nothing specific, but just it kind of hits all of us with the volunteer, or the mental health, or the breakdown of the family, or grief. So that's a general comment. And I did go to the mental health fair, which was wonderful, fun. It wasn't you didn't show up and you didn't feel like people were pointing your fingers at you, which was the purpose. They had booze and food, and it was a sunny day, so it was very good. I talked to a lot of people and learned a lot of different organizations that were doing good work. There's a lot of people that are working hard to help families and kids. So that's from my side.
Yep. And then I just wanted to thank you personally. The board considered a memorandum of understanding that some coalition partners put together, Christina Harpster Counseling, Friends of Hope, LLC, Take the Next Step, and us. And what ended up happening was, because of our continued work together, Take the Next Step was awarded ARPA funding from both the county and the city of Monroe that they dedicated just to mental health support. Because one of the things we bring up frequently is the challenges that we're having with families accessing mental health support. And so from an initial intake call to their first actual appointment, we're looking at 3 to 5 months wait time, and that increases as we get deeper in the school year. And this all kind of came to a head in 2020, both as mental health distress was rising throughout the pandemic, and when we experienced the closure of Compass Health in
Mm-hmm.
Monroe. And so this partnership allows the school district to refer students and families for mental health services. And through the partnership with Take the Next Step, once our points of contact, which in the district, and I'll be sending out communication about this soon, but the student support advocates are points of contact for this memorandum of understanding. SSAs will come around, provide wraparound with the family if that's what they're interested in, will determine eligibility, would take the next step, get signed releases of information, and then Take the Next Step will provide a funding authorization for services, and we can move families into one-on-one or family counseling within about a week. So we're taking that wait
Wow.
time down from 5 months to just a week or 2 weeks at the outset, but typically it's going to be faster than that. And then if for some reason they're not eligible to Take the Next Step, the SSAs will continue to work alongside the family in that wraparound model and be with them as they attempt to navigate the more complex system. The other thing that comes from this MOU is we have pre-authorization to bring mental health services on site in 2 different ways. This network of providers that we're now in partnership with is bringing interns in locally who are who have earned their LMHCA and working toward their full licensure. And we'll be working with these private pay providers to bring this network of interns on site for our buildings. Still exploring what that's going to look like, but we're really trying to bring mental health to each of the schools here. Just don't get ahead of me on that. And then the other side is school districts are now letting us know if they need, our school buildings are letting us know if they'd like to bring on-site group counseling. So we've been authorized to provide 10 group sessions for 10 people. So 10, small group therapeutic counseling. And so what we're hoping that looks like at the elementary level is for those schools that are interested, we'll be able to do check-in and skills groups, so feelings and skills groups. And for families who may need more intense therapeutic services, the therapist will reach out and offer expanded services, so one-on-one. That's how we're going to get around or how we're going to accommodate that need for permission for youth under 13. So group on site with permission, and then invitations for expanded services. And then at secondary schools where students are able to consent because they're 13 or older, we'll still be working closely with families, but they'll be able to participate in small groups that our school counselors and principals help identify need around, and hopefully refer to one-on-one services offsite before we get the interns on site. So we're really trying to buck the system as it is and increase access. And so the school board's action just remove a huge roadblock, and the partnerships that we built through the coalition have removed massive barriers. And so we're so grateful to City of Monroe and the school board and everybody else. So I see you, Sheridan. What's up?
Well, it's so great. Oh my God, it's so exciting that you have resources and the money. I mean, my question was, do you have staff then to be able to actually provide the mental health counseling to families and students?
Yep. So that's what we're working on.
Okay.
Our 2 primary providers are private pay providers that will be paid by Take the Next Step. That's Christina Harpster Counseling LLC, and then Friends of Hope LLC. Christina Harpster, those 2 LLCs are building a network of interns that they're supervising to expand that access.
Okay.
So it's not the ideal situation, but I think it's the best of both worlds. Low cost and rapid access with providers who hopefully are earning their licensure and can maybe grow their private practices here in Monroe once they are fully licensed. And then the staff on the inside, if you're working with the student support advocates or school counselors to let them know that we want to help families get access. That's the side of it I'm working on right now.
Okay.
So it was the contract side, and the implementation model that we've built. Now it's the implementation practice that needs to be built around that, but that's going to happen pretty rapidly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Chris Gray, what's happening in your world?
Well, I'm going to let Sheridan talk about Housing Hope in Monroe and Sultan, but this fall, I have had meetings with two gentlemen, several meetings with one or the other or both. And it's Greg Colburn, who is the author of this book. He is a professor at the University of Washington, PhD, and Greg Colburn is with HASCO, which is Housing Authority of Snohomish County. And basically they talked about the fact that we need to focus on homelessness as being a problem with not enough housing. Yes, there are individuals that have, but the vast majority of people who are homeless are there because we don't have enough affordable housing. It has nothing to do with individual decisions that they have made that may be bad or not. And it was an eye opener to me. It was it'd be really wonderful if we get one or both of them to talk to this group, because it's something that as a nation, really, we have to focus on, because it isn't just Seattle. I mean, it's across this nation. We just flat out do not have a supply of affordable housing for people. And so that's basically what I've been spending my time doing, is learning a ton about and changing my vision about what, how we address homelessness.
Thank you. Sheridan, Chris nominated you to tell us about East County. What's going on?
So we have a new property manager in East County for Housing Hope, and her name is Candace Jones, and she's fantastic. And so she is working really hard. We have several open units inside of Housing Hope, but there is a lack of staff at HASCO, and so it's taking a long time to actually get people into the units. And all of our people come from 211, so we're kind of at the mercy of their those intakes and those referrals we get from the county. When I was at the provider meeting with Rachel Adams on whatever day I don't know what day we're in, but I was there, and there's a family needing immediate housing, and none of us could. There's nothing available, like even just temporary housing. So. It's a family of 6. They have no transportation. They're in Monroe right now. They're McKinney-Vento status to keep the kids in school, but Housing Hope doesn't, their shelters are full. And even if you do once you do the intake with Housing Hope, and I can just speak to Housing Hope, I'm not sure other properties, but it's like 6 to 8 weeks before you actually move in. So if you're living in active homelessness, you're still going to be homeless. It's not an immediate fix. It's a long-term fix, but not an immediate. So we got to figure out some way to get those people who are waiting for housing to have some housing while they're waiting for the units to become open. So that's something I think we should try to work on. I can't build any units, but whatever I could do to help advocate for that, I would do. I'm actually meeting with the SSA at Frank Wagner because a lot of our residents the students go to Frank Wagner. So I'm meeting him on Friday, Carlos. I'm super excited to meet with him and see how we can collaborate. I've got a couple immediate needs for families. So I'm trying to navigate the release of information with the Monroe School District. So I'm working on that, but I'm very excited to be here and to see how we can help families.
I see you, Chris. Oh, you're muted.
Okay. We do have this. This is for people that have income, but maybe low income. We are filling our new facility up in Marysville, which is 60 units, 30 of which are for low income families. and they're going through the process right now. And so if you do know of a family that has low income, we would charge up to 30% of their income for the rent, which is considerably lower than what they can get privately. And so go on to Housing Hope's website. You can get them into that process. This is not homeless. This is very low income. And the other little thing I was going to throw out there is I was in a meeting this morning, and in terms of Tomorrow's Hope opening up in Monroe at Monroe Family Village, they're looking now at November 1st, but I sort of got the feeling that it may be more toward the end of the year. And so that they'll be opening up that, and it'll be a counseling, preschool and daycare and that sort of thing, as well as kids having a place to go for daycare and stuff like that. But it's also education and counseling. Sorry, stepped on you there, Sheridan.
No, thank you. Aubrey, and then Lisa, and then Pastor Hanford. Aubrey, would you tell us what's happening with Just Serve and with your church?
Yeah, sure. I guess our last event that we did was the National Day of Service in September. And just had a lot of good experiences there, but we're looking for, I was reading over some of the slides that you had and some of the research that I have looked at about the ameliorating factors of service has for youth on like delinquency, aggression. It builds self-esteem, it builds hope and confidence, and particularly volunteering for strangers, because that's a high cost activity for a youth. And so I'm just kind of wondering and hoping, I've got some of our youth wanting to take the next step after school program, tutoring, and looking for like Miracle League. But do you guys know of any other, because I just think that is such a great preventative measure, is to get access to our youth. I mean, we've got so many opportunities to serve in the community. It's really hard to find ones particularly geared for youth. So if you guys can think of any in your neck of the woods where youth could volunteer and participate and help our community, yeah, that would be great. I mean, we've got so many different things going on, but that's something that's on my mind. Yeah, and then our church has just been doing a 12-week, it's a weekly 90-minute session of an emotional resilience course and we had 20 youth in our group. So I just think that kind of reflects the need. And I think it's so awesome that you are making these provisions of just groups, skills, access, where that has just been crazy. So, I mean, that's kind of where our church has tried to make something available. Yeah, and just kind of teaching all kinds of skills that can help with emotional resilience. But yeah, I just really love that that's happening, that we're making a move to have some things support in the school. So yeah, those are like kind of my ask, is if you have any ideas for voluntary, I mean, for adults as well, but I just think the mental health of youth is so much benefited, and my kids have benefited. My kids have done Miracle League, and I've had neighbors and friends who have done Take the Next Step tutoring, and it's a huge difference. It makes a difference. So yeah. That's it.
I wanted to offer two comments on that. One is I'd love to connect with you soon and talk about the social development strategy, because you're basically articulating that. But researchers at University of Washington in the 90s found that there was a formula for building protection in youth. And there's basically 3 steps to one whole. One is we need to give them a meaningful opportunity to contribute to school, church, home, community, or another organization. That we need to teach them the skills to be successful in that contribution, right? And then the third, like often missing step, is we need to recognize their effort. So not their achievement, but their effort in that contribution. And so those 3 steps are known as a social development strategy. Those 3 steps lead to bonding with whatever agency they're volunteering for or contributing to, and it leads them to adopt the healthy beliefs and values of the people or organizations they're bonded to. So you're touching on prevention science. And
Right.
so
Right.
wondering how I can partner with you, or how the coalition can partner with you to help kind of turn, like, if you're going to match students with volunteer opportunities, how we can help the volunteer organizations to touch on those 3 steps.
Oh, I love that. That's
Contribution,
awesome.
skills, and recognition.
Recognition. That's awesome.
And then the
And I
other
feel-
comment, oh, sorry.
Go for it. No, go for
I was
it.
gonna say the other thing that you touched on, that need for emotional resilience. Anecdotally, this is what I'm seeing in our organization and across the community too, where people are really excited that life is coming back to this new normal, and yet the cost of the last several years is really reduced resilience. And
Yes.
so I think you really touched in on a real need that we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, I love the things you guys have been doing to try to meet that need. That's awesome. And we've had success just with, they've had a really good experience. Our youth have had a really good experience. We tried to do it virtually. Oh my goodness. When we were still coming out of COVID, it was like 4 kids. They were awesome. But like, this was like 20 kids. They had to split the class, more kids. And you know, it's every 12 weeks. So we've had, it's been so successful in person. So yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
It looks like Lisa needs to hop off to help kids. We'll try to prioritize her earlier next time. But
I got a
Oh,
few minutes.
you're
I
up,
got
you're
a few
up.
minutes. Sorry, guys. When you got students waiting, you know, we got it, and school's almost ending. So just quick updates. We're working closely with Joe as a district school counseling program, building the comprehensive school district, school counseling program. There's lots and lots of pieces, lots of coordination with our community members. And, so putting that all together so that we've got all of the wraparound services that we can do and that we need, the things that we provide here at the high school, the community provides, the BHT program, that have assimilated and are a very big part of our school counseling programs, the SSAs, all of that. We're just off and running and going great. One of the things I can say for at least at the high school, I can speak for the high school, we are in week 4 of keeping, so school counselors, week 4, we are keeping track of our direct contact daily with students at 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. We're keeping track and disseminating what grade levels are coming in, direct services, we're seeing them directly, and whether they're falling into the 3 buckets, career and college, academic, or social emotional. And so we're gathering some really good data on how the school year has started and what kind of right now the priorities have seemed to be for students at that certain those grade levels. So we'll be excited to put that all together and be able to share that out. So, and it's lovely to have so many community members that are so invested in our youth. It means a great deal to us. So we want to just make sure that we're, from us shouting out to you guys that you make things very much worthwhile. And it really, really helps. I appreciate that. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.
Pastor Michael, what's happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'll just give you an overview real quick. The faith community is really involved in loving God and loving people, building families, supporting families, parents, teens, and promoting home, school, and community atmospheres of love, kindness, and respect. So many different needs-oriented outreaches are happening, whether it's God's Closet at the SDA Church on Chain Lake Road, or Take the Next Step, Just Serve, as you've just heard from Aubrey. Cascade does so many things, and other congregations as well have different food ministries, and especially partnering with you all. So thank you so much. And may God bless you as we come into the month of Thanksgiving almost already. Let's be thankful for one another, and we'll see everybody in November.
Thank you so much, Pastor Michael. So because we're low on numbers this month, I'm going to be able to give you guys some time back. Before I let you go, though, I'm wondering if there are any topics. So we were so fortunate to have Amber with us. I had no idea what, I didn't even know about Family Voluntary Services. And I make it my business to kind of know a little bit about everything that's happening in the community with regard to social services. Are there any other topics or spotlights that would benefit your work or our collective work on youth wellness and mental health? And so, you know, a couple of things that come to mind is, I know there's laws changing around how our non-citizen neighbors can access services. I'm wondering if having an immigration guest to be able to talk about what that landscape might look like, so that we can help move or increase access to those services. I'm wondering if we want housing guests to really lay out the landscape. What would be beneficial to your work and our collective work? Who would we like to hear from? And of course, I'll be cajoling Amber to try to join us regularly now. So you're in trouble.
No, that's okay. I would love to. I think that I got a lot more information being here than just kind of like word of mouth. And so I really appreciate it and hope that I can continue to be there. And then we have lots of other programs too to support everyone, and specific to teens too. So whatever I can do to support community members is what we want to do. So
Awesome. Sheridan, what kind of speaker could enhance the work with your families?
I don't know. I need to think about it to see.
Okay.
Like I kind of need to process. I think, I mean, like there's stuff specific to me that I'm interested in, like in terms of the school systems inside Monroe, because I think every school district is completely different than the other districts.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, kind of the workings within this school district, but that's, you know, very specific to me. So I don't know. I need to think about it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aubrey, how about with some of the work you're doing?
Well, I mean, just, I liked your ideas just generally. There's just such a huge, you know, we've worked with refugees, but there's such a huge Hispanic population, refugee population, not so much in Monroe, but in the greater East Side kind of area, definitely down in Tacoma. I think, so an immigration thing would be awesome, just for my general interest. Also housing, I just think it's such a problem that would be interesting. Because I have teenagers, I really loved the screenagers kind of thing, but like just more ideas about how social media and media impact our young people and how to support parents. I just feel like my generation is trapped between the, like, we grew up without technology but have had to learn it, and it's been so, I mean, we just have to be ahead of the game. There's just been so many faux pas I've made as a parent that had I just known maybe some of the science behind, or some good boundaries to set, or some things to look for, to be up on the new apps, the new things that people are, do you know what I'm saying? To protect our young people from, some of those kind of concerns that affect self-esteem, that can create addiction, those kind of things is just an interest for me.
The other topic that came up earlier, oh, I just saw your hand, Chuck. The other topic that came up earlier was fentanyl. And so like we're seeing the emergence of rainbow fentanyl, which is colored pills that look very inviting and appetizing. And it's a changing landscape. And we have great partners regionally who could support us through learning on that if we're interested. Chuck, I see you now.
Well, in my office, I can look east. I'm above Woods Creek, so it gets a little noisy around here. But I was thinking about Index and the fire that we had up there. And one thing that's always been that's on my mind, I guess it's from an insurance background and some other training I had, is emergency preparedness or disasters. So it's just a general idea of a topic. And I know that if there was a disaster, all the aspects that we touch on would come into play. Family, family struggling, housing, food. So a general topic may fit in, may not. But I was just looking out the window and it's kind of smoky out there and people are hurting because of that.
I love it. Rachel, you joined us. We were just about to sign off. We're wrapping up early, but would you tell us what's happening in your neck of the woods? And welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm so late. I have been speaking with Brandon, who is part of VOA's behavioral health branch, and they are working on right now hiring the mental health clinician that will be part of the mobile mental health outreach from Sultan. So that that program is something that we have been working on with the city of Sultan, the city of Monroe, Snohomish County Fire and Rescue, Snohomish County Sheriff, and Monroe Police Department as an alternative response team. That would be a mobile mental health program would be dispatched from the Sultan VOA there, and they would be able to help de-escalate people who are in crisis and just be able to provide follow-up care. And so Brandon is now the person who is working on filling that position. We have initial startup funding matching grant from Snohomish County. The House needs to pass something for our federal funding to go through, but it's looking promising for 4 years of additional funding. And I'm working on another grant right now to get that program off the ground. And so, yeah, we're just looking for the right person. So Joe, if you know anyone, I would really love to connect you with Brandon to work on that. In other news, I came in right at the end of Mr. Whitfield sharing about families and sharing his heart on that, and thank you for your words. I did just want to mention that we have a new respite program in town, and it is specifically designed to support McKinney-Vento families in Monroe. So very excited. Esther Riley is the contact for that organization, and they just started this week. They have 2 families that they're working with so far, and very individualized, tailored case management. I got to meet with them yesterday, and really delightful things talking to them about their program.
Aubrey, I see ya.
Just a quick hand, sorry, McKinney-Vento, does that mean that they don't live in the area, but they're getting bused here? I don't know what McKinney, I'm sorry, I'm not educated in that terminology.
So McKinney-Vento is an act that is designed to give families who are experiencing homelessness or housing instability in the Monroe School District, give them access to the stability of their last school district that they were enrolled in. So yes, there are some people being bused here, but there are also people who may be busing out. But the respite program is designed to be a housing solution for people in Monroe who are experiencing housing instability, who also have a child in our school district. So,
and I would add that there's a pretty broad definition for who
Yes.
qualifies under McKinney-Vento. So the the misnomer is that you have to be homeless and on the streets to qualify. But Rachel said something really key, that was housing instability. So if you're couch surfing, you may have a house. If you're doubled up with other family members, if you moved on to your in-laws or brother-in-law's property and you're in a trailer on the property, but that's not your normal house, anything like that will qualify our families for McKinney-Vento services. And those services make sure that kids can still participate in sports. So we'll help with sports fees, that they're getting access to free lunches, so the family doesn't have to worry about meals. If, like Rachel said, they've been forced to relocate, that we can keep them stable and attending in Monroe, because we know transitions between schools set kids back about 6 months on average in their learning. And so a couple of moves can lead to lost years of learning. And so it's a very loose definition of homelessness compared to what we normally think of.
Awesome. Thanks for the clarification.
Well, if nobody has anything else for the good of the order, I want to leave it to Tom to leave us with some words of wisdom.
I was just thinking that in times like this, that self-care would be a good topic at some time, because, and that would be for our members, because you know, people that are self-care and respite, both of those are just key things that keep the wheels moving, you know, and so, and I like what Chuck said about preparedness, emergency preparedness, homelessness. I'm seeing a lot of homes go up. They're not going to solve any homeless problems. They're, you know, they're 3-story, 5-bedroom homes, you know, and they're not going to solve homeless problems. So I think that would be a nice topic for, you know, and that we might follow up on it, because and that's the McKinney-Vento. When you've got, you know, when you've got people that are not in home, that have no place to call home, everything else is chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I taught school many years ago in Montana, and I came to a conclusion. If I knew what had happened in the last 24 hours in that kid's life, all this craziness would make sense. And that was a pretty freeing thing for me, because I stopped taking personal that these kids were out to annoy me, and switched it around to, how can I get down in there and find out what happened in the last 24, 36 hours that's causing this, you know? So just awareness. And I want to thank Joe for, you know, he's still working through illness, and but you're such a leader that we're just continually blessed to have you. So thank you very much. That's it. Adios.
Chris, I saw your hand up.
Sorry. I just wanted to, one little comment on something that Tom said, and that is that, you know, we are so focused. Well, one of the things I heard through the webinars and stuff that I've been sitting in on is that, say in Seattle, like 90% of the unbuilt property is zoned single family. So the contractor comes in, and, you know, I don't blame them. They're going to build the biggest single family house they can build. So you've got 6,500 square feet and 5 bedrooms and blah, 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 for, you know, where if we didn't have that kind of zoning, you could build a 6,500 square foot duplex or triplex or fourplex and solve that problem. We need to have more less specific zoning in our towns in order to get rid of the homelessness issue. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Well, okay, thank you, everybody. Two things will be coming to your inboxes. One is the annual community survey of adults is now live. And so I'll be putting out communication about that. The survey will be available in English and Spanish. We've done it every year since 2013, and it informs our strategic plan, particularly around the type of parent outreach that we offer in the community. The other thing that will be coming to some of your inboxes is we are required by the contract to have folks who belong to the coalition participate in a member survey called the Coalition Assessment Tool. And the Coalition Assessment Tool is annoying, but it does provide us with some essential information about how we make the meetings more relevant to you, how Monroe functions compared to other coalitions across Washington State, and there are more than 100 now. And so when you get that, please fill it out and know that I don't take anything personally. The way we have it set up this year, I don't even think I'll get to see the responses. I'll just get to see the report about our need. So you can't hurt my feelings. I love the coalition so much. I always want it to be better. And this is both a contract requirement and an opportunity for us to improve things in-house. So the reason why we do community spotlights is because of that survey. The reason why we're doing more community partner check-ins is because of that survey. The reason why we're doing less business and compliance updates is because of that survey. So it really does shape who we are and what we do as when we're together like this. So that's all I've got. I'm so grateful to get to work alongside you, and I'm definitely going to be a pest to some of you. So have a great day.
Good, thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Bye.